Poppy Playtime is peak fiction. I hope there isn't any doubt about that. And if there is, just run. So anyways, as I'm casually waiting for Poppy Playtime in Chapter 6, a theory popped into my head. A theory that is disturbingly interesting. In Poppy Playtime Chapter 5, we meet a new ally called Giblet, a smiling critter-themed toy with a staff that electrocutes people. Cool stuff. Anyways, if you saw the thumbnail, then you're probably wondering, what the heck is wrong with me? I mean, how could our man Giblet be evil? People. Giblet has always seemed a little off. He survives this encounter with the prototype somehow. Like, come on, you're telling me the prototype didn't see Giblet? Nah, something is up here, and Giblet not getting killed here when he is literally the leader of a revolution against the prototype is just the tip of the iceberg. Do you see this? This right here? Giblet is literally pocketing a piece of Poppy's skin. That is downright disturbing, considering porcelain makes up Poppy's skin and skull. But the cherry on top? I think these random acts of suspicious behavior is far from Giblet's dark and twisted truth. I have spent days theorizing on his true motives, and while my sanity is intact, Poppy won't be for long. Ladies and gentle Wuggies of the audience, I present to you the Giblet Theory. Let's establish one thing here. Giblet clearly has his own motives that he's not letting us, the player or Poppy, on. Whether Chum knows is up to debate. So what is Giblet doing? Why does he pocket a piece of Poppy's skin? What is his secret motive? Well, Giblet has some personal items and is... I'm getting flashbacks here. Anyways, in his haven, I guess, Giblet has a list of people who he owes stuff to. Most of the people he owes stuff to are dead, including Doughy, who he simply says, "Rest easy, big guy." For those who don't know, Giblet used to work with Doughy and Poppy back in the height of the Toy War, before Poppy left Safe Haven. Giblet wanted to relocate the Safe Haven, but Doughy didn't. From what I understand, this was the last time the two talked, and yet, somehow, Giblet knows that Doughy is dead. This implies that Giblet would have been told that Doughy is dead, because him going all the way back up to the Safe Haven, and then back down to the Recycling and Reclamation Center just to save us in time, is too unrealistic. Because everybody knows that in a world where poppies can reincarnate the dead and grant eternal life, the most important thing a game studio should be focusing on is realism. Anyways, if Giblet was told by someone that Doughy died, who did? Was it Chum? Maybe. I mean, we don't know what he does in his free time, so this could work. If it weren't for this one little thing, we see Chum very early on in the start of Chapter 5 using an elevator. And because the Safe Haven isn't near any elevators from what I can determine, this means Chum probably wasn't the one to go scout out the ruins of the Safe Haven and then find Doughy's body and then tell Giblet before he comes to save us so he can cross out Doughy's name on his checklist. The logistics don't make any sense, so who told Giblet? Well, if Giblet is evil, what if he's secretly working with the prototype and was told by him? What if this operation to take him down was all a disguise? This would explain why Giblet miraculously survived this one encounter with the prototype if they were secretly working together. And what makes this really work is that the prototype seems to know everything that goes on. If he blew up the floor beneath Player and Kissy, he definitely could have told Giblet about Doughy's death if Lily was the one hunting Poppy instead of Lily. And what just solidifies all of this is in the interview with Lily and Giblet that Mob recently posted, the two are asked, what was the last lie they told someone, and what was it? Giblet's response was very interesting. His response was,
"Told someone I knew that everything was gonna be okay."
Well, that doesn't sound like a lie.
It is, if you know it's not true.
Yeah, you want to know who he said that to?
You're gonna be okay, Poppy. We'll find a way.
Yeah, he told Poppy that, and apparently lied about it. So if Giblet lied to Poppy that she would be okay, what did he mean by that? Well, it probably means he's evil and he's working with the prototype. But as I was making this theory, I kinda got sidetracked and I realized there was actually someone else Giblet could be working with. And it's not the prototype. Yes, him surviving this one encounter is very weird, but as much as this throws a wrench into my theory, or a spanner if you're British, Giblet has told us exactly how to defeat the prototype. We somehow inject the negation formula into him, rendering his regeneration useless, meaning he can now actually die.
I always come back.
Yeah, Giblet was the one who told us how to kill him, because Giblet is actually plotting against the prototype. And now my theory is in shambles. I have no reason to continue. So Giblet, suspicion in his own right, a skin stealer, and a liar to Poppy, who has been through enough, let's be honest, isn't working for the prototype, yet he seems to have an ulterior motive of his own. Is this why he constantly says he's not a hero? Is the massive guilt of whatever the heck he's doing weighing down on him?
I don't know.
So, with all this in mind, of all the weird things Giblet has done, or what he seems to be doing, we need to ask ourselves, what is actually up with Giblet? Is he actually secretly evil with his own motive alongside destroying the prototype, or is he really a nice rebel against the prototype who just happened to know what horrors will come in Chapter 6, but for whatever reason hasn't or can't warn us about? Well, I'll be honest, Giblet isn't evil, but he definitely isn't completely good either. Everyone in Playtime Co. seems to have an ulterior motive of their own. Poppy wants to kill the prototype and is sorry for dragging us into it, but also wants to destroy all of Playtime Co. to make sure nothing like this happens again. Doey wants to protect the Safe Haven residents and get them out of the factory, but also wanted to win the war against the prototype and the Doctor, and was willing to team up with Poppy to do it. The Doctor wanted immortality and was forced to team up with the prototype to stay alive while also searching for the secret on his own. And Giblet? Well, let's think. What's one other thing Giblet responded to when we snooped around in his home? It wasn't just his checklist.
It's nothing. That's just a piece of trash I found.
It was his mirror. And that mirror isn't a normal mirror. That thing's reflective glass is covered up by a poster of the actual Giblet toy. The reason it doesn't look like our current Giblet was because he got turned wrong side out by the prototype, presumably. And when we see the old poster acting as a makeshift reflection, Giblet gets very flustered. Then it clicked. What does Giblet want, aside from killing the prototype? Well, that poster would imply that he wants to be normal again. He doesn't want to stay wrong side out. He may have accepted that he was a toy, but accepting being turned into a wrong-sider is way harder. I mean, look at these denizens. You think Giblet wants to look like them? So what am I getting at here? Well, if Giblet doesn't like being wrong side out, what can he do about it? As of right now, we think the prototype was the one who turned Giblet wrong side out. So if Giblet wants to be normal, he can't just go back to the prototype and ask him to be normal again, especially considering he's the leader of a rebellion against the prototype. So who could he go to? Well, at the end of Chapter 5, we get a rather interesting turn of events. Dr. Harley Sawyer, the main antagonist of Chapter 4 and the guy who made all the experiments, comes back.
I always come back.
And that's when it finally clicked. The one other person, besides the prototype, who could theoretically turn Giblet normal again would be the Doctor. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I think Giblet has a secret alliance with the Doctor so he can be turned back to normal. But as we all know, Harley Sawyer isn't one to do things like this out of the kindness of his heart. No, he demands a price from Giblet, a price that Giblet is reluctant to meet, but a necessary price in his eyes. Dr. Sawyer was always obsessed with eternal life, and while he kinda did get that after his consciousness was shoved into a computer, this is far from ideal. There are 2 experiments in Playtime Co. that are actually immortal, beings that don't need to eat to survive and won't die of old age. Poppy and the prototype. And Giblet, who has a piece of Poppy's skin, is going to give that up to the Doctor in exchange for being turned right side in again. Giblet becomes normal again, and the Doctor gets a sample of Poppy which he can use to perfect eternal life. But why would he need eternal life? I mean, he's wired to the whole infrastructure of Playtime Co. and is already immortal. Well, remember back in the day with Poppy Playtime chapters 2 and 3 where people would theorize how the prototype would use us as a host body so he could become human or something? Well, that clearly isn't true anymore, as if I'm being honest, the prototype doesn't really seem to care that much about us. But you know who could use our body for himself? Harley Sawyer. He admitted that we were very unique, and that, yes, we are human.
You know, I never thought I'd see another like you. A human.
Take that, players of toy theorizers. Anyways, say the Doctor wants to use us as a new body for himself, and with a Poppy sample Giblet would deliver him, he could become human again, but be immortal like Poppy in the prototype. The only thing is, I doubt Giblet knows all this. I think if any of this actually is true, then I wouldn't put it past the Doctor to leave out details like what he's actually going to do with the Poppy sample. Anyways, this has been the Giblet Theory. Giblet still is the leader of a rebellion against a prototype, and yes, while he is a good guy, he still has his own ulterior motives. He knows that everything probably isn't going to be okay for Poppy, and that the Doctor will probably want more and more Poppy samples in exchange for his normal look again. Giblet isn't evil, but he's definitely not completely good either. Call him misguided, call him a betrayer, he might be all those things. Ha! Take that, Giblet. I knew there was something suspicious about you. Anyways, thank you for listening to my Giblet theory. I know that I have been posting a lot more story content than theorizing content, but the theorizing is occasional, not always. I am a better storyteller than I am a theorizer, I'd like to think. Anyways, more stories coming out, more Poppy Playtime parodies episodes coming out. If you want to watch those, stick around on the channel, see what happens. I do actually have more theories in the works. Like, there's some really, really crazy ones. Like, if you think the Giblet theory is crazy, you're going to be dumbfounded at the insanity I have dreamt up. Like, it's crazy what things can be twisted and, like, molded into. I don't know, I'm getting off topic, but the point is, I got some crazy theories in the works. So, if you want to see that, stick around. You might find something insane. But, anyways, thank you for listening. Have a good rest of your day. God bless, and I will see you next time.